We all love a little chaos, and college football always seems to deliver it. Tuesday, we saw our first college football playoff rankings for the year. Georgia, zero surprise at number 1. Then, though, gets a little interesting. One loss, Alabama in second, followed by unbeaten Michigan State. Oregon, one spot ahead of Ohio State, courtesy of their strength of that September win over the Buckeyes in Columbus. And unbeaten Cincinnati stewing there at number 6. And Reg, talking to you all week, it sounds like you are perfectly in step with all the decisions that the committee made this week.
I think actually what Tom Rinaldi's piece did speak to there was expansion. And I think that's obviously the one thing that I keep coming back to that will level the playing field for this entire conversation. But I've seen inconsistencies with the committee's logic. They clearly value big-time wins, right? That's why Alabama's ranked so high, Michigan State, Oregon. But by that logic, then why is Ohio State ranked ahead of Cincy if Cincy's best win is over Notre Dame, Ohio State's is only Minnesota? And then they clearly penalize teams who don't play ranked opponents. So that's why Oklahoma and Wake Forest are so low. But then by that logic, why is Michigan ranked so far ahead of them if they played only one quality opponent and they've lost to that team? So those are my issues with this list. What do you guys see? What you see?
No, look, I think the issues are real, but we also have to realize this. This is just the first ranking. The College Football Playoff Committee doesn't have to get the first ranking right. And I think where there's outrage right now is because we were all sold, or people bought into the idea that Cincinnati was a top 4 team, maybe number 2 in the country. And that was because of the AP poll. The reality is, we've been doing this for 8 years now. The AP poll doesn't matter. I'm sorry to break that to everyone. And in fact, if you look at 6 of the last 8 years for the first college football ranking, they haven't had the same 4 teams, 6 of those 8 years. And then furthermore, they haven't had that same combination of 4 teams as far as being in order. So if we're looking at the AP poll as an indication of what the College Football Playoff Committee is going to do, it's never been the case over the past 8 years as far as what it's going to look like. So, look, people need, I'll do my best Aaron Rodgers impression right now, relax, okay? There is a path for Cincinnati. There is a path for Oklahoma.
People don't want to relax, Brady.
They need to relax.
They don't want to relax.
They need to relax. There's a lot of college football left to be played. A lot of these teams in the top 10 will have to play one another. So we'll see some of that. But to your point, really what we have right now is a system that was flawed to begin with. Yeah. Not every Power 5 conference plays the same amount of conference games. Yep. Some play 8, some play 9. Some play FCS opponents for their non-conference schedule games. Some do it in November, like some of these SEC
Alabama
teams. So the reality is it's already been that way. We need to level the comparison between these two teams, or between all of the teams, with how they go about scheduling first before we start looking at expanding. But, Coach, I'm just curious, if you're at Oklahoma right now, sitting there number 8, at 9-0, are you even looking at the rankings?
No, as a coach and as a team, you're not paying it. You don't care about the rankings at this point. We want to win. You're going to go out this week, play absolutely as well as we can, all right? And the rest will take care of itself. For instance, for OU, they've got the meat of their schedule coming with Baylor, Iowa State, and Oklahoma State. Baylor and Oklahoma State ranked high. If they win, it's going to matter to the committee. Yep. Okay, and the same thing for Oklahoma State and Baylor. I mean, if they win out, they need to be considered. Okay, so but my biggest takeaway, I can't believe, is all of a sudden losing doesn't matter. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, where did this come from? You got 4 teams with a loss ahead of OU at 9-0. And OU also, by the way, has the longest winning streak in America right now. But there's 4 teams ahead of them with a loss.
It doesn't matter.
But again, all of a sudden, losing's okay.
It will at the end.
But it matters for Cincinnati, and that's my point is I don't care about the AP poll. I had Cincinnati in my top 4 because I believe at this point they deserve to be in the top 4 based on their resume, especially when they have a stronger resume than Ohio State, in my opinion, and Ohio State has a loss to this point.
They've got one good win.
They have one good win, but if you compare their resume to Ohio State, who is Ohio State?
Ohio State's got a better strength of schedule.
Because they're in because they're in the Big Ten Conference, but you look at the last 4 or 5 games minus Penn State, I'll take Cincinnati against any of those teams in the Big Ten that they played in this winning streak. Yeah. All that being said, I think the Group of 5 Cincinnati fan base has a legitimate gripe with the disrespect. I get it. In this structure, there's not going to be a Group of 5 team that makes the college football playoff. With expansion, that gives them the opportunity to see if they can go out there and play against the best teams. The other interesting thing, too, is there's only been 2 teams that started outside the top 10 in the initial college football rankings that climbed into the top 4 when it's all said and done. The Sooners in 15 and Ohio State in 14. Just keep an eye on that. You mentioned there's still a lot of ball left to be played. Baylor and Oklahoma State, 11 and 12. That Big 12 backloaded schedule, one of those teams is going to make a run, and maybe it is the Sooners. And then Auburn with 2 losses. I know they have 2 losses, but if they run the table, big game today, they beat Alabama, they beat Georgia. Those are big ifs. But what Tom's piece said, chaos has happened already. It's going to continue to happen. Maybe we see our first 2-loss team in the playoff. But I love it, man. Hey, chaos, a lot of ball left to be played.
Relax.
A lot of these teams play each other. This is why we do this.
I'm with the fans, man. I don't want to relax.
I like what you brought up, Matt, is who deserves to be up there. To me, that matters more than being subjective. I think this team looks the best.
Well, plus Cincinnati.
The heck with that. Who deserves it?
That's what the criteria is, though. They've put that in there where it's the best 4 teams, not.
What did Gus Malzahn say this week?
Cincinnati could compete with anyone.
Yeah. He's seen those
Look,
things.
we've seen plenty of chaos. I guarantee you, it will continue maybe as early as today. All right,
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy that clip, make sure you click subscribe somewhere down here. From game highlights to exclusive interviews and rankings, we've got everything you need as a college football fan right here, College Football on Fox.